Beneath the scorching sun of the Giza Plateau, past the swarms of tourists and layers of dust from centuries of excavation, something may have shifted. In March 2025, a team of researchers announced what could be one of the most groundbreaking archaeological discoveries in modern times: an entire underground complex hidden beneath Egypt's iconic pyramids. Using advanced radar technology, the team described massive chambers, spiraling staircases, long corridors, and what they believe might even be an ancient water system, buried deep beneath stones that have stood for more than 4,000 years. Their claim reignited a long-standing firestorm of speculation. Could this finally be the fabled Hall of Records? The mythical library said to have been hidden beneath the sand since the fall of Atlantis, said to hold secrets of a lost world. The team, led by Professor Corrado Malanga, used ground-penetrating radar to survey the area beneath the plateau. What they found, or believed they found, was a network of organized structures, rows of columns, clusters of rooms, and interlinking corridors. But not everyone was convinced. Prominent Egyptologists, including the ever-controversial Dr. Zahi Hawass, quickly dismissed the findings. They called them unscientific, possibly even reckless. The study hadn't been peer-reviewed. The visuals released to the public? AI-generated mock-ups. And Professor Malanga? He's no stranger to controversy. His past includes claims involving alien abductions and fringe theories far outside mainstream science. So what exactly are we dealing with? A legitimate discovery that could rewrite our understanding of ancient Egypt? Or just another chapter in the long, winding saga of myth-chasing and misunderstood data? Let's dig deeper. At the ever-shifting base of the Great Pyramids of Giza, one of the most extraordinary archaeological claims in recent memory didn't begin with a shovel, but with a scan. An international team led by Professor Corrado Malanga from the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi from the University of Strathclyde in Scotland set out to investigate a possibility that has haunted the edges of mainstream archaeology for decades: that beneath the world's most iconic monuments lies something vast, intentional, and long forgotten. This wasn't some treasure-hunting expedition fueled by lore. It was rooted in cutting-edge technology. The team employed synthetic aperture radar, SAR, an advanced imaging tool typically used in geology and even planetary exploration. It can penetrate the Earth and bounce back data from underground structures with remarkable accuracy. Now, it was turned toward one of humanity's oldest and most mysterious landmarks. Their goal was simple in theory: map what lies beneath the Giza Plateau. What they found, however, was anything but simple. At first, the radar scans returned typical results: shifts in density, a few possible voids. But then, the patterns emerged: linear shapes, precise angles, structured alignments. And then came the shock: 8 enormous vertical shafts, each stretching downward over 2,100 feet. That's nearly twice the height of the Eiffel Tower. Their sheer size was astonishing. But it wasn't just the depth, it was the design. These shafts weren't chaotic or natural. Their walls were smooth, symmetrical, too precise to be formed by accident. This was construction, not coincidence. The team was floored. Nothing like this had ever been documented beneath the pyramids. But then came something even stranger. Along the edges of some shafts, the radar revealed spiral-shaped features curling downward in a slow, deliberate twist. As the scans became clearer, these weren't just strange anomalies. They began to resemble something familiar: spiral staircases. Ancient, elegant, and winding down the walls like stone corkscrews disappearing into the earth. This changed everything. Staircases mean access, and access means intention, use, purpose. The team speculated that these spirals weren't ceremonial. They weren't art. They were built to be walked, wide, consistent, and robust, functional. the kind of structure that ancient engineers might construct for real, repeated use. And if that's the case, if people once descended these immense, corkscrewing shafts, it wasn't just a trip underground. It was a journey into something important. The image that forms is almost cinematic. Ancient figures cloaked in linen, carrying torches, stepping slowly down stone stairs that coiled deep into the earth, disappearing into forgotten corridors of a subterranean world swallowed by time. Then, the chambers appeared. At the base of two of the shafts, the radar scans revealed something unlike anything yet discovered beneath the plateau. Massive cube-shaped rooms, each measuring 80 meters per side. That's not a passage. That's not a cave. That's a structure the size of a city block. Nearly a perfect square with sharply defined edges and symmetrical proportions. According to the researchers, it looked as though someone had carved massive, geometric vaults directly into solid bedrock, with intention and precision. But why? Theories began to swirl within the research team. These colossal spaces could have served many purposes: tombs, ceremonial halls, temples, or for the more speculative minds, something far more extraordinary. Ancient libraries, knowledge vaults, repositories for sacred information kept safe from the ages, safe from war, disaster, and even time itself. And then, as the scans widened, the complex began to grow. Surrounding the primary shafts and chambers, 5 additional structures began to emerge. But these weren't isolated rooms. They were layered, stacked, and interconnected, a mesh of overlapping chambers connected by winding passageways. Some ran straight, others curved, bending gently toward junctions like arteries converging in a living body. What was forming wasn't a ruin, it was a layout, a system, a deliberate design, and the alignment? It wasn't random either. Some of the underground chambers sat directly beneath surface features, mirroring the layout of the pyramids and temples above them. This wasn't just something buried beneath the desert. This was part of the Giza. Complex itself. It led the researchers to one of the most provocative ideas of the entire study. What if the Giza Plateau was always meant to be a 2-layered system? A surface world of grandeur and ritual, and a hidden world of access, storage, or secrecy beneath it. A mirrored infrastructure. Monuments above. Mystery below. If true, it wouldn't just change our view of the pyramids. It would shatter it. They wouldn't be standalone tombs or symbolic markers. They'd be nodes in a vast, complex design. A design meant not only to inspire awe in the heavens, but to shield something in the earth. And perhaps what lies beneath wasn't just functional. It might have been sacred, or strategic, or both. What made these findings so unnerving wasn't just the scale. It was the silence. There are no records of this, no scrolls, no carvings, no mention in Egyptian texts or later writings. If these structures exist, and the scans suggest they do, they have remained completely hidden for over 4,000 years, hidden in plain sight, beneath one of the most excavated sites on the planet. The researchers, cautious not to overreach, have yet to confirm the exact material, composition, or dating of the structures. That will take time and further analysis. But the patterns, the stark geometry, the repeating alignments, do not resemble natural formations. To outside observers, the implications are staggering. A hidden world beneath Giza. Massive, intentional, entirely undocumented. The kind of revelation that forces historians and archaeologists to ask, what else don't we know? But beneath the stone and shadow, another detail began to surface. Not one carved from rock, but one that flowed. As the radar scans peeled back the final layers of the subsurface, researchers began to notice subtler features: narrow channels, smooth indentations, winding between the chambers like veins. They didn't fit the patterns of architecture. They weren't supports or stairways. They looked like conduits, For water, a buried hydraulic system, flowing quietly, invisibly, beneath the bones of the Giza Plateau. These lines beneath the earth, they weren't cracks or accidents. The forms were linear, purposeful, as if etched with intent. They traced routes between the spiral staircases, the massive cube chambers, and the layered structures like arteries in a buried body. And they all suggested the same thing: water. Some channels followed the natural gradient of the land. Others cut through bedrock at sharp, deliberate angles, too clean, too consistent to be anything but engineered. This wasn't erosion. This was infrastructure. And if that's true, then water wasn't just present. It was integrated. Central for archaeologists. The mere idea of ancient water systems beneath the desert sands is enough to trigger serious debate. In ancient Egypt, water was never just water. It was myth. It was life. It was the cosmos itself. The Nile wasn't just a river. It was the backbone of the civilization, economically, spiritually, and symbolically. To the ancient Egyptians, it wasn't just geography. It was sacred geometry. So when signs of ancient water channels appear under one of the most sacred sites in Egypt, no one shrugs it off. The researchers propose that this network of subterranean waterways may once have connected to the Nile, or to reservoirs now long gone, buried by shifting sands and time. If true, these channels could have formed a silent transport system for goods, materials, even people, flowing invisibly beneath the surface. It's not a new theory that water transport played a key role in pyramid construction, floating massive stones downriver to building sites. But this discovery pointed toward something far more intricate: a sustained, subterranean water system engineered below the surface itself. That alone would be extraordinary. But the implications run even deeper. Because in ancient Egyptian belief, water wasn't just useful, it was divine. In the Egyptian creation myth, the universe began not with light or land, but with water. A boundless, dark ocean called Nun, formless and eternal. From it rose the first mound of earth, the beginning of all creation. The god Adam stood on that mound and brought forth the other gods. So to return to water was to return to the beginning, to the void, to the source. If this underground system truly incorporated water, the mind can't help but wander into the realm of ritual. Were these not just chambers, but ceremonial spaces? Did ancient initiates descend the spiral staircases, surrounded by the cool breath of subterranean aquifers, enacting some sacred passage into the underworld? Could the corridors have mimicked the rivers of Duat, the Egyptian realm of the dead? Were these water channels meant to carry goods or souls? Some pathways ended, or converged, at the very base of the cube-shaped chambers. That proximity is not easy to ignore. It would have taken meticulous planning. Which raises more questions. Were these rooms tombs, temples, or something else entirely? The team even noted that parts of the radar scans suggested signs of erosion, subtle but consistent, on the walls of key structures. Not chaotic damage from floodwaters, but smooth, long-term wear from water that had moved deliberately through the system. In some areas, the channels seemed shaped, engineered. In others, they followed natural formations, perhaps enhanced, or redirected to suit the needs of an ancient time. And then came a more haunting question. What about sound? In ancient subterranean sites around the world, like Malta's Hypogeum or the Oracle Chamber of Delphi, water and acoustics often go hand in hand. Chambers designed to amplify resonance, to carry voices, to create effects that feel more like ritual than accident. Could that have been the case here? Did the slow movement of water, echoing through the chambers beneath Giza, create a hum, a vibration, something that lent these ancient rituals an otherworldly air? Perhaps the pyramids really did speak, not through magic, but through design. And then, beyond the mystery, there's the matter of survival. If anyone ever worked or lived down here, if this network was functional for more than brief rituals, then water wasn't optional. It was essential. Ventilation, cooling, even stability, all could have been aided by a water system in the harsh desert. In dry, sun-beaten environments, flowing underground water can stabilize temperatures, keeping spaces cooler by day, warmer by night. A built-in climate control, hidden in the earth. So now we're not just talking about an underground structure. We're talking about an underground system, alive with flow, sound, and intention. The idea of a secret complex beneath Giza already stretches the limits of what we thought we knew. But the idea that it may have functioned through water, practically, symbolically, spiritually, that changes everything. A new dimension had entered the mystery. Though the radar data had traced the channels, mapped their curves, their connections, the question of what they still held remained unanswered. The team had not yet confirmed whether any of the water channels still contained moisture, sediment, or mineral traces. But if future studies, through soil sampling, isotopic analysis, or deeper imaging, could detect remnants of ancient flow, it would open a door few thought possible. Because water leaves memory, it carves it into stone. It lays it down in layers, mineral traces, sediment lines, erosion marks like fingerprints left by time itself. If even faint residues of long-dried water could be identified, they might carry a temporal signature, a record of when the channels were active, and that would be groundbreaking. Unlike the pyramids above, whose true age has eluded precise measurement for generations, the subterranean waterways could offer a new path to understanding. If dated correctly, they might tell us, not just when the system was built, but when it was used. Because function leaves evidence, and evidence tells stories. In that sense, these ancient channels might hold something even the pyramids cannot, a timeline. And so beneath the dust, beneath the stone, beneath the well-worn theories and centuries of excavation, another layer begins to move. Water, silent now, invisible, buried, yet still shaping the story. It may no longer flow, but it may still speak. Through the chemical whispers of sediment, through the erosion patterns etched into bedrock, it may carry the echoes of purpose, of design, of ritual. What was its role? Was it merely practical, moving cargo, cooling chambers, sustaining life, or was it something deeper? Something foundational to a belief system, a worldview, a civilization whose memory has been wiped clean from the pages of history. As the shapes of shafts, spirals, cube chambers, and connecting corridors took form, another idea began to stir. One that archaeologists have avoided and historians have dismissed, but that has never fully disappeared. A legend. A theory whispered on the edges of academia and myth. The notion that beneath the sands of Giza lies not just stone, but knowledge. A vault, an archive, the Hall of Records. According to esoteric traditions and mystery schools, the Hall of Records is said to be a vast subterranean library, a repository of ancient wisdom, sealed long ago beneath the paws of the Sphinx or the base of the pyramids. Some say it holds the knowledge of a pre-dynastic civilization. Others claim it contains records from Atlantis itself. A relic of a world erased. The myth gained mainstream attention in the 20th century, largely through the writings of Edgar Cayce, the so-called sleeping prophet. In a series of trance readings, Cayce claimed that a hidden hall would one day be discovered near the Great Pyramid. Inside it, he said, would be the detailed history of a civilization lost to cataclysm. The records, according to him, would reveal truths about human origins, forgotten science, and even celestial knowledge. For decades, these claims were dismissed as fantasy, New Age lore masquerading as history. And yet, they lingered, because the story wouldn't go away. And now, with radar revealing symmetrical chambers, geometric structures, and vertical shafts located exactly where the legends said they would be. That story is stirring again. Could it be? Could these enormous, mathematically precise rooms, unseen, unentered, be more than just architecture? Could they house something? Scrolls, tablets, devices, systems of knowledge not meant for their time, nor ours, at least not until now. Skeptics warn against wild speculation, and rightly so. The scans are just that, scans, shadows, outlines, echoes beneath the earth. No human has yet set foot in these chambers. No artifact has been pulled from their depths. But what makes the Hall of Records theory so tantalizing isn't just the data, it's the context. Because these structures aren't isolated. They aren't randomly placed. They're deliberate. Aligned with the monuments above. Embedded within the geometry of the plateau. Located exactly where the myths have always pointed. Coincidence? Or the first sign that the legend was never just a legend? Beyond the current reach of even our most advanced radar tools. And yet, the scans remain. Caution is warranted. No doorway has been opened. No chamber breached. No scroll lifted from the dust. But the shapes, they are there. And they are not random. The debate now is not just over what has been found, but over how we should interpret what the data implies. Dr. Zahi Hawass, one of the most recognized voices in Egyptology, dismissed the findings outright. Fake news, he called it, accusing the researchers of operating without official permits, without oversight, without credibility. In a public statement, he reinforced the official line: there is no hidden city beneath the pyramids. To many, Dr. Hawass represents the gatekeeper of Egypt's historical narrative, a defender of established timelines and cautious scholarship. His skepticism is not surprising. In fact, it's necessary. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. But others question whether that skepticism is always neutral, because history, especially at this level, is never just about facts. It's about control, narratives, cultural identity, tourism, and secrets that might be too disruptive to reveal. Meanwhile, from the academic side, radar experts like Professor Lawrence Connors have voiced doubt not just about the claims, but about the technology itself. SAR, he said, may be excellent for identifying shallow anomalies, even architectural ruins under jungle or ice, but mapping a vast underground city beneath dense limestone and sand. A huge exaggeration, he said, but there's a gap between exaggeration and invention. What SAR revealed, clean geometric forms, mirrored symmetry, and the unmistakable signs of architectural planning, isn't easy to dismiss as noise or misinterpretation. The scans weren't fuzzy outlines. They showed connection, repetition, structure. And that's not something nature does by accident. Even if some structures are misread, even if certain features are less grand than they appear in radar echoes, the presence of something beneath Giza is no longer speculative. It's recorded. But the meaning, that remains elusive. Is it an engineered underworld of chambers and corridors? Or a case of overzealous interpretation? Is this a buried city? A ritual complex? Or simply voids mistaken for monuments? The questions mount. And in the absence of excavation, they remain just that, questions. Still, the implications are enormous. Because if even a portion of what the scans suggest is true, if even a fragment of these underground features turn out to be artificial, it would require a rewriting of Egypt's architectural history.